The reasons for the seasons. If you've ever gone swimming in summer or had a snowball fight in winter, then you know something about seasons. Seasons are times on Earth that have very specific weather patterns and hours of daylight. Earth's four seasons are spring, summer, fall, and winter. Seasons are caused by Earth's changing position as it revolves around the sun. Some people think that the seasons occur because of Earth's distance from the sun. However, Earth is closer to the sun in December and January and farther from the sun in July and August. So what's going on? All of the planets and bodies in our solar system orbit the sun. This is called a heliocentric or sun-centered orbit. Almost all of these objects also travel in the orbital plane. Think of this as a flat disk with the sun at the center, extending out toward the edges of our solar system. As Earth travels in its orbital plane, it is held in place by the sun's gravitational field. Earth also tilts on its axis at 23.5 degrees to this orbital plane. This means that the north and south poles of our planet are not straight up and down as we orbit the sun. They are at an angle. Earth's rotation on its axis takes approximately 24 hours, which is why we have day and night. It takes Earth about 365.25 days to complete one entire revolution around the sun, which gives us 1 year. As we can see in the picture below, the angle of the sun above the horizon is much greater in summer than in winter. As Earth revolves around the sun, it rotates on its axis. Sometimes Earth tilts toward the sun, which is when summer occurs. In the winter, Earth tilts away from the sun. In North America, around June 21st, Earth tilts on its axis toward the sun. This is called the summer solstice, and it is when the northern hemisphere has the most daylight of any time of the year. It is also when the sun appears to be highest in the sky and has its greatest angle to Earth. The higher the sun is, the more sunlight and heat Earth receives. This is when the days are longer and the nights are shorter. Again, going up to this picture, we can see that in June, the sun is very high in the sky and the angle that the sun takes over the Earth is very steep. Whereas December, the sun is much lower in the sky and the angle is much more shallow. The seasons in Earth's northern hemisphere are always opposite those in the southern hemisphere. This means that at the northern summer solstice, North America will experience summer and winter will start in the southern hemisphere. Around December 21st, the northern hemisphere tilts the farthest away from the sun. And if we look at this image, between March 21st and September 21st, the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun. It has spring and summer. So in this image, it would be here. During that same time, the southern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun and has fall and winter, and the equator is warm all year round. So if we look at this picture, we can see that especially here in June, our northern hemisphere is tilted the closest to the sun, so it's going to be the warmest, whereas our southern hemisphere has a tilt away from the sun, so it's going to be cooler there. It's going to be winter for them. This is called the northern winter solstice, and is when we have the least amount of daylight of any time of the year. During this time, the sun appears lowest in the sky, with the least angle to Earth, and we receive less sunlight and warmth. This is also when the days are shorter and the nights are longer. Around March 21st and September 21st, Earth is angled approximately 90 degrees away from the sun, a right angle. This is when the spring and fall equinoxes occur. During this time, both the northern and southern hemispheres are exactly the same angle from the sun. Therefore, we all experience about the same amount of daylight and darkness. Having four seasons is typical for people that live above and below Earth's equator. People that live at the equator do not experience four seasons. This is because the middle of Earth does not tilt as much as Earth rotates on its axis. Without tilt, the angle of the sun is always the same, so the equator receives the same amount of warmth and light year-round. The farther you get from the equator, the bigger the difference there is in seasons and sunlight. For example, in Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost city in the United States, they experience 4 months of complete sunlight from May to August and complete darkness from November to January. And if we look at Mars, it tilts on an axis, orbits the sun, and has seasons, just like Earth does. I'll bring us into our next section on seasons and other planets. Did you know that other planets have seasons too? Most planets in our solar system have seasons, but they're different on each planet. This is because the tilt of their axes and their revolutions are different. Venus is closest to the sun, so its seasons are short. On Saturn, a season can last 7 years, while on Neptune, one season can last more than 40 years. The planet Mercury is not on our chart. This is because it rotates only 3 times every 2 years, and it has a very elliptic orbit, which makes it almost impossible to differentiate seasons on the planet. Mars has a similar tilt to that of Earth, with 23.5 degrees, but its revolution period is 687 days, which is roughly double that of Earth. It also has a more elliptical orbit. The seasons on Mars are about the same as on Earth, but they last twice as long. The Martian surface receives about 6.5 to 7 months of each season. Imagine a 7-month-long summer vacation.